Sandra here from Creating Spain, and today I am actually going to be doing a Christmas card. I know, it's August and I'm doing a Christmas card. I was feeling a lack of inspiration, and I'm always doing birthday cards and thank you cards and things like that, and I decided, okay, I'll do a Christmas card just to be different. So this is part of a design which actually comes from my brother's scan and cut machine, the SDX 1200. So it's one of the patterns which is on there. However, you can do this with whatever ornament type design you feel like using. So, if you want baubles, use baubles. If you want angels, have angels. If you want, I don't know, Mickey Mouse suspended, do that. Whatever you feel like doing, really. Now you might be able just about to see that I have some thread on here. Now I cut this out of acetate, and I have tied on some basically invisible thread. And this stuff can be purchased in a lot of places these days. I've had mine for absolutely years. It's the sort of thing that they frequently use, or used to use certainly, on clothing to make invisible stitching, and it's really handy if you want to suspend things and you don't want things to be seen too much. I put a tiny little puncture hole in the top of this star just with a sharp pointed tool, one of my dental picks, and I threaded through the thread and tied it in a knot, leaving probably about 10 inches of length on either side of it. So I've cut out some other pieces that I am going to be sticking onto my tree, and I've also got here a punch, simple normal punch, so I can do some extra baubles and things, and I have some bits of supposedly snow to stick on. These were all bits that were included in the file, and a couple of stars as well, because I need this design to be double-sided. For obvious reasons, it's going to spin somewhere, so that's what I need it to be. Now, as it happens, acetate isn't the easiest of things to stick, but you just have to choose your glue carefully. But one of the things which I would say is, if you happen to have any clear UV nail gel that you aren't using, this one for example has gone a bit gunky, it's a bit thick, that's really handy as long as you only need to do it on one side of the acetate. If you need to do it on both sides, then that's not going to work because you can't see through to the other side. But it's very useful for putting acetate windows in and things like that. So there's a quick tip for you. So I'm going to use, I think I'll use some tack it over and over, because that is pretty sticky stuff and it's not likely to come off. So just to make sure I've got my tree thing around the right way, the right and the wrong way. Okay, so I'm going to put the glue on this side here. Let's clean the nozzle. Scrap of tissue paper there. So a bit of glue on here. And this is very much like a zig glue. It goes on blue to start with and then dries clear. So at least you can see where you've put the stuff. You have to be very careful when you're cutting out fronts and backs. I mean, with a plain card it doesn't make too much difference, but if it's a patterned card it would be more problematic if I hadn't got it cut the right way round. So it's always a good idea just to duplicate it and then to flip it, just in case there is a difference that isn't immediately obvious. I just realised I should have stuck this on first, but I've also got to do a little bit of colouring on here because I wanted it in brown. and I didn't have any brown card, so I'm just going to take a bit of scrap card that I've been playing around with, get some alcohol marker and colour it in brown. And put it under here. I can get away with it. Actually, thinking about it, I'm supposed to have put something else on there first. Oh, I'm brain dead this morning. Absolutely brain dead. Comes from the heat. We had to have the air conditioning on last night in the bedroom, and neither of us sleep very well with the aircon on. Sad, but true. When you've got temperatures of about 34 degrees at night, it's not the easiest of things to do to sleep regardless. So in the case of aircon, no sleep. Or too hot, no sleep. Well, when I say no, I don't mean no literally, but you get the idea. Now I cut these from a glitter paper, and I was quite impressed. The machine actually cut it well, because sometimes some machines don't like glitter paper a vast amount. Now you want to keep the threads in the upright position, and got some decorative snowy sort of pieces. So here's my finished Christmas tree. I've added some little gems and coloured in the base a little bit because I thought it looked a little bland as it was. So that is actually ready to be hung into my card, and now I need to introduce you to the card base. So what you need to do if you're going to do this design is have it flat, fold it that way first, okay? Then you can fold it in the middle like that, and then you can hold the back of it flat, and you can bring these pieces up like that, as if you were doing a pop-up card where you got a stepped image. So that's how you do it. But what I want to do is to have my Christmas tree hung in the centre of there on this thread. I think the easiest way of doing this is going to be with a tiny little slit just there, and another tiny little slit just there. I've decided the easiest way of suspending this properly is going to be with a small slit just there, a small slit just there, and these threads have been pulled through those slits. And I can now pull this as tight as I want, get it into the centre, and then just lower it just the slightest amount. And if I do one side first, what I'm going to do is just put a little piece of tape over that thread, and then I'm going to pull this one and get it where I want it, and put another piece of tape over that there, and then it will hang in the frame, and I can adjust the height by pulling on those threads until I have well and truly glued them down. So I have my Christmas tree suspended now by the thread, and it's literally come through a tiny slit there, and I've made it so that it can't move when it gets over to this side. These pieces are going to have panels on them, so that isn't going to be seen. What I do want to do is to close up these panels. So literally that can just be folded down, and that can go there. And the construction part of the card is done. It's just a case of doing the decoration now. Now, if you want to, of course, you could decorate these back panels, and I would suggest if you're going to decorate them that you do it before you assemble the card. Obviously I haven't done that, but if you're going to do it, that would be an ideal time to do it before you stick the card together. Just make sure you put your decorative panels on the right bit. So when it's opened out flat, if I demonstrate on this one, okay, so that would be your card. You'd want to have your decorative panels on these two, which is actually on the wrong side of the card, on the inside. That is what you'd actually need. Now the other thing that I was going to do, and I completely forgot about, I was going to put some acetate in my windows. That is basically the construction of it done, and the rest is just icing on the cake really. The inside of my card is finished. I've decorated it with some patterned paper, a plain piece of card here for the sentiment, and I've added some snowflakes. These are ones that came from the patterns which are included with the Scan and Cut DX. However, there are plenty of snowflake patterns out there if you want to choose something yourself. And my tree dangles nicely in the middle. It's difficult for you to see it on camera because I use an overhead camera, but basically it will be like that. I'll just have to hold it in place for the moment so you can see it. So that's the inside of my card, and to fold it up, just make sure this stays in the center there, and it will fold down nicely like so. Now you may get a couple of the invisible thread strands sticking out. If you do, you can try and pop them back in. What I suggest you do if you're going to put this in an envelope is to put it in this side first, so that no one's going to accidentally pull on these strands when they take the card from the envelope. So this is the front style that I've gone with, fairly clean and simple. The same patterned paper, a little cutout from some card that I had already in my stash, and another snowflake. I mounted it on silver first of all, then the paper, and then added these bits on the top. You could add a sentiment, but you don't necessarily have to. And to be honest, this would be quite a nice card if someone had a birthday around about Christmas time, so you won't necessarily want to put Happy Christmas on it. So that's the finished card, and I think it came out really nicely, and I was very pleased with the result. Now, having made it on my brother Scan and Cut, would I say it's quicker than making it on my silver bullet? No, definitely not. But that is simply because I am very used to using my silver bullet. I did actually scan in the background card for this, but it already came with pre-designed shapes, and I simply made a shape to fit it and just made sure it cut it in the right place. I did try scanning it in to do a scan and cut, but because the background card was a very similar depth of colour to this, it didn't really like picking up the edges too well. So that wouldn't have been a great way of doing it. The paper that I used, in case you're interested, is this one. It's actually Origami Paper, and I purchased it either in Aldi or Lidl, and I can't remember which because they both use the same supplier. And I'm mentioning it now because in the run-up to Christmas, either Aldi, Lidl or both will probably have some more craft papers in stock. This is actually, as I said, an origami paper, so it is very fine. I'll just take a sheet out of here somewhere. It's very fine, nice quality paper, but it's very fine. But they do card and construction paper, pattern papers, plain cards. And if you have one of those shops anywhere near you, it's very, very much worth having a look when they've got their offers on, because their card products are high quality and they're very reasonably priced. But they do only have them on odd occasion. Generally, coming up to holidays when they think children and adults are going to be doing a bit more crafting. So in the case of Spain, for example, they have quite a lot of them coming up in March because of all the fiestas and things starting. And again, coming up to Christmas, they're likely to have some. So that's why I mentioned that. So there we go. My card is done. I'm happy with the result. I hope you enjoyed it. And although I'm only giving you the base file for this, it gives you a very good start for a nice card of your own. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Take care now.